Today I got a gift in the mail, a book of Chacham. His name is Rabbi Matlub Abadi. Rabbi Matlub Abadi was, he wrote a book called Magen Ba'adi, which I play in his name, Ba'adi, Abadi. He was a big rabbi in the Syrian community. He was a contender for the position of Rosh Yeshivat Puat Yosef in Jerusalem. He turned that down for whatever reason. He was intentionally forgotten by the Sephardic community on purpose. He didn't pass away so long ago. But his views bothered some people. In fact, even though he was a Syrian rabbi, in 1920, when the Syrian rabbis signed the edict against conversions and converts being accepted in the community, he was the rabbi who refused to sign. Yeah, which I'm sure didn't help with his popularity in the community. He has a number of interesting teshuvot, and I've been trying to get his book for a long time, but it's printed internally. And I almost got my hands on one in an auction about 6 months ago, and then someone bought it right before me. Today, Baruch Hashem, out of nowhere, in the mail, one showed up at my house, one of my students. I never said, you probably never heard me mention Rabbi Matlub Abadi's name, but he figured that I must want this book, and he ordered it, and Baruch Hashem, it came, so you might hear a name of another Syrian Chacham coming up. That's today, I'm mamash. Like this rabbi, Rabbi Maimon, is an Ashkenazi rabbi who I stumbled across one of his books about 2 years ago on the Sanhedrin, and ever since, anything that I can find that is sold to him, I will. He's an unbelievable.
Maybe your student saw the auction and it was sniped you, saw that you wanted it.
Could be. Could be he stalked me a little. I don't know.
Did you get some more bookshelves?
No. So we're gonna take the food out of the cabinets and put.
You just need a ladder up into your attic. That's all. So you can have like your own little private library up there.
I've seen libraries.
In one of my book groups, it says someone posted. There's a famous speaker who said, you should only own 50 books at a time, and you should read all of them and then get rid of them and start over again. Someone said, we don't need this negativity over here. Some people have different relations with books.
Well, you can't do research unless your materials are at hand. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, no, all my things are at hand. Everything is on a shelf somewhere. It's just a question.
I'm saying getting rid of books and stuff.
Yeah, no, but see, some people don't read like that. They don't read to read. I'll tell you, when you see people who read magazines and newspapers, I never understood how someone could write for a magazine. How do you write something that next month is going to be in the trash? Or in a newspaper, tomorrow morning it's going to be old. It's like when the Jews were building and Pitom and Ram says they built a pyramid and it would sink into the mud. Well, how could a person invest their whole life in writings or speeches that are not worth anything?
Of course, now you just bookmark it on digital. You can save the best articles.
Right, but there are some people, Jewish and non-Jewish alike, authors that they wrote something and that word lasts.
Yeah, it's got a very short life.
I mean, think about like the classics, the authors. Those books they're not full of wisdom, but clearly there's something to them that is keeping them around, whereas other books have fallen by the wayside. And it's a zechut for a person to have the Shulchan Aruch. How many people wrote books of halakha? And how many of them stuck like the Shulchan Aruch? Why the Rambam? You know how many other rabbis in this generation wrote books? Why the Rambam? The answer to that question is like Kodesh Baruch Hu. But it's an amazing thing how certain books click and other ones don't. In the Mishnah Berurah, he prayed his whole life that he shouldn't be the posek of the Ashkenazi Jews. His whole life was one of his biggest prayers. So once I heard somebody, they said one of the big Rosh Yeshiva says, how is his book the most popular commentary in Shulchan Aruch, especially in the Ashkenazi community today? He said because he forgot to pray that he shouldn't be the tzaddik of the generation. He said he prayed he shouldn't be the posek, fine. But the tzaddik of the generation, so his book stopped. It's so special. The Shulchan Chachamim, you see that their Torah sticks.
Sometimes I hate to use the word apikoros, but I've never ever found anything inspirational per se in Rashi. It's like so. I've always found it very dry and not matter of fact. That's the wrong. I don't want to, God forbid, put it down. But it's compared to like the Rambam or something like that.
Right. So Rashi, first of all, Rashi gets a bad rep in general.
Really?
His whole
I
life.
thought it was like because everywhere.
Well, no, everyone is. The things that you make the most famous eventually become the most boring. It's what everyone knows. So when you read the Rambam or the Ibn Ezra, the Sforno, it's what you don't know. That's what's exciting about it. And Rashi's brilliance was not so much in providing novel insight. Rashi's brilliance was in being able to say very many things with very few words. We call it he's a katzan. He's a knows how to write briefly. That art is something you don't like. For example, you read the commentary of on a page of Gemara, you'll see Rashi, like the Masechet Nedarim, and you'll see not Tosfot. I'm not going to quote him because it's not the same. You see the Ran. Ran is a Sephardic commentary. Similar idea. He's a commentary in the Talmud. Rashi will have on one page 100 entries, and the Ran will have 3. Because his 3 take up the whole page. And it's really nice to get that kind of depth, but also if you need to explain something with so many words, it gets heavy. So it's the reason why people don't study many books like the Barbanel. You know, the Barbanel has a beautiful commentary. The problem with the Barbanel, it's not his problem, it's a style. The Barbanel asks like 5 questions at the beginning of an entry, and then he spends 15 pages answering them. And if you're able to follow 15 pages worth of thinking, you'll get it with the best answers in the world. But most of us, when we read the Chumash, we don't have 15 pages of time or of attention, and so we want 5 questions, 5 answers. Rashi was able to do that. Other Chachamim, they were blessed with, they had words, a lot of words. It was a very wordy kind of commentary. So I don't think that Rashi is meant to be inspirational per se. And I think it's also important to know that, at least from what I know, Rashi wrote more than one commentary. And we only have this one. And there are a number of other things. We don't know what else Rashi would have contributed. Rashi becomes exciting when you study those who critique him, like Tosfot or Rashba, mostly his descendants. All of a sudden they attack their grandfather, and you say, wait a second, hold on. So who's right, them or him? And then that war between the grandchildren and the grandfather brings a whole new world. You have a new appreciation. Rashi used these 3 words because they're referring to a Talmud in the Yerushalmi somewhere that his grandchildren thought were referring to something else, and then, or sometimes he's quoting a midrash as a pshat, and they're correct. They're calling him out that he made a mistake, not a mistake, but it's not the pshat that he's what he said. Yeah. Let's look here at the footnote on page 229. We're talking about coloring on the hands, if it's a chatzitza or not. So it's on the left side column of 229. Hine b'divrei HaRambam, from the words of the Rambam b'tshuva, in a letter. וכן בתשובת הרמב"ם, שובה בראש ספר מעשה רוקח, and from another letter of the Rambam, which is found at the beginning of a book called מעשה רוקח. Mashma, it seems, שהצבע, that the color, שנותנות הנשים על הידיים לנוי, that the ladies put on their hands for beauty.
Like
That,
henna?
yeah, it seems like, you might see some cultures have like all kinds of tattoos of sort.
Right.
דווקא אם אין בו ממשות, אינו חוצץ. It only is considered not a chatzitza if it doesn't have any substance to it.
Oh, like a thickness?
Yeah, I mean if it's
Raised.
then it's not, it's a chatzitza according to the Rambam.
So if someone had would that apply also to tattoos? If someone had raised tattoos, like they do in Africa, as opposed to like a flat.
Right, so that's what we seem to be talking about. Ulam, but HaRashba b'Torat HaBayit, the Rashba in his book Torat HaBayit, u'v'tshuvot ha'miyuchasot ha'Ramban, or the letters that are attributed to the Ramban, not Rambam, Rambam Moshe ben Nachman. Katav, he writes, Shenashim, that ladies had tzovot yadehen, who color their hands lenoi for beauty purposes. Eno chotzet, it's not a chatzitza. Denoi hu lahen, because it's not just that it's not a chatzitza for them, they want it, it's beautiful for them. And the whole problem of chatzitza is something you don't want on your body. It's not here something they don't want, it's something they do want.
Intent.
Ve'en makpidot asiro, and they don't care to remove it. Ve'adraba, to the contrary, rotzot en b'kiyumo, they want it there, they would not be happy if you would remove it. Ve'od deleka bo mamashut ele chazuta be'alma. And it doesn't really have any substance, it's just something you see. V'sheken iskim Ramban, the Ramban agrees with him. ובאר יוצא מטעמו הראשון של הרשב"א, שאפילו יש בו ממשות כל שאינה מקפד להסירו אלא אדרבה, היא חפצה בקיומו אינו חוצץ. And you see from the first sentences of the Ramban, that so long as it's something that she wants, it doesn't really make a difference if it sticks up above the skin or not, if it has substance or not. As long as she wants it there, that's okay.
So does that include nail polish then?
Oh, that's what we're getting to.
Okay.
But this is the direction, this is what we're trying to get to. Kind of painting on a hand. I listened today to a speech from a Rosh Yeshiva in the Gush Etzion. I'm not a student of the Gush Etzion. I'm not a student of his either. I don't know in the context of his teachings what else he teaches. His name is Rabbi Yonatan. He's a big Talmid Chacham. And he gave a speech today. It doesn't make sense what he was talking about, but there's a certain sugya in Masechet Gitin, the laws of Gitin. You know that you're not allowed to write a get on something that's attached to the ground. So like you write a get on paper, but not paper that's still attached to a tree. You can write it maybe on a leaf, but not a leaf that's still on a tree. There are rules what you can write. You can write it on a cow's skin, but not one is on the cow. So the question that Ma has over there, and by these questions are purely theoretical. They're meant to figure out what is the border, what are the limits of halakha. What if a person owns a slave, and he writes the get on his hand? He tattoos it on his hand, and then he has two witnesses sign on his hand. So Ma goes to the question: well, what if you cut off his hand and send it? Is that considered not attached anymore? What if it is cut off? What if it isn't cut off? What is back and forth? And the poskim over there, the commentaries, they go, well, what about, okay, how much of a slave is owned? Whatever conversations happen. He was given a shiur a whole week about this topic. And then this is the last 7 minutes of his speech. Let's say he was teaching on Sunday, on Thursday. He said, I can't believe that I'm sitting in a Beit HaMikdash, and I've been giving a class in the Talmud for almost a whole week. And I've been talking about a slave, and writing on his hand, and signing, or not signing, and would you cut off the hand? You know,
And no one expressed
not one
any
person
sympathy.
not one person stood up and said, "Oh, the question here was: are the witnesses considered invalid witnesses because they're making a tattoo on his hand?" That's what the question. Maybe they're considered evil people because they violate the prohibition of making a tattoo.
Not that they're messing up. That's
So he said, I can't believe I'm sitting in this room. He says, yes, it is a question. All of these, and he said, I'm not telling you we're better than the commentators who lived before us. How can it be that I'm sitting in a room of people, no one stood up and said, well, they should be evil because they're writing on a slave's hand? Because they're going to cut it off and send it to somebody as a gift.
That's ridiculous.
So how can it be that no one stood up to express their anger at this piece of Talmud? He gave a similar example. There's a halakha that was ruled for many years, and one of the poskim. I'll tell you what he mentioned. He mentioned that he was once at a rabbinic conference, and it came up a question about whether or not there's a word for this in English. It's a French word that they use in English. Someone who knows fancy food will know. You know when they fatten ducks or geese?
faux gras.
That one. How do you say it?
Faux gras.
Faux gras.
Faux gras. Or something.
Foie?
Okay,
Yeah.
fattened duck. They force feed. They put a tube down its throat and they force feed it.
Right.
Yeah. The question was, is it kosher l'halakha or not? Can you eat this animal?
No.
So the poskim have an argument, and there's a posek who says no, you can't eat it because maybe the grains that go down its throat it causes a wound, an internal wound, and that causes the animal to be a trifa. It's not kosher.
Nothing about
Why
inhumane.
can't you
So one of the rabbis was the conference. He was the rabbi of Ner Tzion, near actually. And he said, well, I think that we shouldn't eat it because of Tzar Ba'alei Chayim. Because he said the animals literally scream when this is happening.
Oh.
It's just a forced torture of an animal. He said, so we're not. I said, I think we shouldn't serve it on kosher grounds because it's not kosher because of the treatment of animals. And he said that it happened to be that in Ner Tzion there's a famous hotel. A lot of people come stay at. It's like a resort. And he said there was a famous queen or a princess that came from Europe, and she was there, and she ordered for her whole entourage this fattened duck. And they came to the rabbi and said, oh, we want to get it. Can we order it from this company that sells it? And he says, not in my kibbutz, not in my moshav. It's not happening. So what? He says, because I will not certify it as kosher. And he said he feels very lucky to live in a generation where the reason why they're not eating this fattened duck is not because maybe there's an internal wound, but because the generation reached to a place where they don't want to eat an animal that has been forced to suffer.
Maybe?
And he says, you now have to belong to a generation of people who say that this sugya, you will learn it. You will learn the discussion about, is it considered attached when a hand is connected or not? Is it a sin to make a tattoo? He said, but I also need to know that the conclusion you will reach will be that despite everything we've learned in the poskim, we have a new entry to make in the world of halakha, and that is that we won't do this because it's inhumane to have a slave and to use him in such a way and to cut off it. It's not simply not allowed in Jewish law to treat another human being that way.
Why would we even have such ridiculous examples?
The point is to illustrate the point. What does it mean attached? What is something not attached? How do you invalidate a witness? What kind of crime? The point is not meant that you should I don't know that there ever was a get written on a person's hand. It's not the point of the Gemara.
Yeah, they're not
The point of the
advocating.
Gemara is meant to push the boundaries of how do we define our halachic parameters. And it's very interesting. I was just reading about the tattoo on the hand. It's reminding me of this again. We live in it's like Rabbi Yonatan Halevy writes that in the Talmud it says that you give tzedakah to someone who's not Jewish. Why? Mipnei dachei shalom, because of ways of peace. You don't want to show that we only care about Jews, not about non-Jews. That's in halacha. Yeah, but he said we live in a generation where that shouldn't be the only reason we give tzedakah to non-Jews. He said we should give tzedakah in our generation to non-Jews because the Jewish people have reached a place where we feel that another human being needs, and I'm a human being who can help them. That should be the only calculation that I have. Not because maybe they'll kill me if I don't, not because maybe it'll look bad if I don't, but because I truly wish to help another person. It's not a reform thing, what I'm telling you. This is as halakha keeps moving and moving and moving, you're going to find other considerations in the poskim, different things you have to think about.
Different ages, different times.
There's a number of poskim who've already signed. I'm not telling you anybody listens to them. That eating meat is allowed in halakha. But eating meat from the current meat industry could be a prohibition of helping people who are violating biblical laws to continue doing so. Not about kashrut, about the treatment of animals. That's also a biblical prohibition. I mean, there's a prohibition to help those who do averot. You can't fund an organization that does things that are against halakha. So by supporting such an industry, we're enabling. And there are a number of poskim who felt that it's a direct enough enabling that it would be prohibited to eat the food that comes from it. I'm not telling you this is accepted consensus on the street, but there is such the thought process has to be broader than what it is we're dealing with, what's right in front of our nose. So back to the tattoos. V'chen katav harosh. The last word in line is harosh. The left column. Harosh. We're going to pass through here.
Is that the Rosh?
That's the Rosh, right? He writes in laws of mikvaot. Lahakel b'zeh mishnei atam miktav ha'azbar. He's lenient also about this. V'chen katav ha'meiri. The Meiri writes the same thing. V'shafil yesh b'chtav mamashut yesh lakel. Even if there's a little bit of substance to this decoration, you could be lenient. The Meiri in the laws of Nida writes the same thing and mentions that was the consensus of the great rabbis in the generation. Let me go to the last two lines of this paragraph. וגם בשולחן ערוך כאן כתב שאנשים שדרכן נצבוע ידיהן לנוי וכיוצא בזה אין אותו צבע חוצץ. The ladies which paint their hands for decoration, that color is not a chatzitza.
So, we see today that all women are told to get the nail polish removed, remove the nail polish before going to the mikvah. That's more of a chumrah.
Well, we have nails are again like the nails are a different part of the body, and they. You could say the nail polish is not absorbed in the nail, obviously. You could say that it's above its substance. It would depend the quality of the nail polish. For example, a nail polish that is long-lasting is maybe not a chatzitza. It's there for a long time, but nail polish that easily chips or paints or that might not be considered a long-lasting. It's something that a woman gets chipped, she wants to take it off and redo her nails. In that case, that would be considered a chatzitza. So there are a lot of details in those halachot. But yes, this halakha is explicit. If you look with me on page 236.
236?
236 in our book. I lost the picture. כל דבר שאינו מקפיד עליו, see the Maran on the top, bet, everything that which you're not particular about, אינו חוצץ, it's not a חציצה. היה דרכו של זה להקפיד, וזה דרכו להקפיד. If one person is particular and one is not, למי שדרכו להקפיד, the one is particular, חוצץ. It's a חציצה. למי שאין דרכו להקפיד, אינו חוצץ. And the one who doesn't care, it's not a chatzitza. I mean, this is subjective, says Mara. Now, this is not, we're not talking here about mikvot. Remember, we're talking here about nitrat yadayim. Ketzad, how so? היה אחד צבע, והיו ידיו צבועות. If one was a painter and his hands are full of paint, אין הצבע חוצץ על ידיו. The paint is not a חציצה. אף על פי שיש לידיו מממשו של הצבעים. Even though his hand has actual substance, it's not that the paint is absorbed in his skin, it's on his skin. לא היה צבע, but if he's not a painter, אם היו ידיו צבועות, and now his hands have paint on them, ויש ממש הצבע לידיו, and he has now paint substance on his hand, הרי זה חוצץ, זה חציצה. Why? שהדיו היבש חוצץ, והלך אינו חוצץ. Oh, interesting. Yeah, something else.
Very
It
interesting.
says the dry paint is a chatzitza, whereas the wet paint is not. We're going to get into these details soon. Don't worry. This is a few pages away from us. V'chen hanashim. This is the part I want to read to. The ladies shedakan litzbay dehem lenoi, who paint their hands for beauty purposes. V'chayotze bezer, anything similar to that. En oto hatzeva chotzetz. This color is not a chatzitza. We had a hard time when Sephardi Jews made Aliyah to Israel, especially from North Africa, where they would do these henna parties. And I'm going to tell you the truth. My opinion on the henna party is it's not a Jewish tradition. How do I know? The Arabs do it too. But the Sephardim already convinced themselves. The Jewish tradition, henna stands for chala, nida, hadakat.
Well, we might have been first, but it might be like a church steeple where we just have to kind of stop doing it. Yeah.
So we don't know who did it first. Fine, I'll give it to you. I don't have anything against this idea, as long as it's done with tzniut and properly. But they have this minhag where they put this henna in the palm. They don't actually do tattoos, but they smear it in their palms.
To the guys too.
Right. I never let them do it. Once they did it, it took like 2 weeks for it to go away.
Right.
I'm a very particular person. I can't handle this.
Mine took weeks.
So they put it here. The problem is that same night or the night afterwards or whatever it is, a week later or after, she'll have to go to the mikveh again. And we had a problem where they weren't letting the ladies go to the mikveh in Israel. Because the mikveh lady would check, oh, you have dirt here. Take it off or I'm not letting you in the mikveh. And she'd say, it's off. There's nothing here. No, your skin is painted. She says, yeah, but I want that there. I mean, like, that's something that I put there. I didn't do it. It's not dirt. It's something that I want here. And they weren't letting Sephardic ladies go to the mikveh.
Wow.
And there are a number of rabbis who had to write different letters explaining that this is a simple halakha. She wants it there. It's not the majority of her body. There's no substance there. It's absorbed in her skin. It's something she wants. It's not that she doesn't want. There's no reason to hold her back from going to the mikveh unless all you're trying to do is to get her to not be able to go to the mikveh and do available to their husband. It's the only thing you're going to accomplish with this.
This is like 48. Was it all settled by 50 or 53 or something? Or did it carry on for a decade?
I'll tell you that it probably started, I don't remember there being letters about this that early actually. The Moroccans only started coming in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a later question, which I don't think in the 40s there were even, I don't know, I didn't live in Israel then. I don't know how organized the mikvahs and the mikvah ladies were then. But give it 20 years and that was already a thing.
It's already a force to reckon with.
There probably was a rabbanut up and running and government ordained mikvah, and that was probably a whole different situation. We had a similar problem with nana tea. Rabbis started writing letters that you can't drink tea by Sfaradim because we drink nana tea. And nana tea is infested with bugs. And they don't know how to they don't know how to clean properly. Rabbi Yosef Masas has a famous letter about this to a rabbi. He said, dear Rabbi so-and-so, who's an expert in Moroccan Jewry, he says, nana tea is a clean leaf. He said, because we clean it. We wash it. There's no lady who makes nana tea and doesn't wash it. He said she washes it well. You want to tell me, he says, that they don't wash it well? He says, good. Let me explain to you that once you take the nana leaf and you cut it and you put it in your tea and you mix the sugar and you mix the spoon, he said the bug with the hot water probably already broke up to more than one piece, in which case is nullified in 60 inside of the water, which is inside of the tea. He said, and that means that tea is kasher and you have no reason to prohibit it even if she didn't wash the tea leaves. He said, and you should know that in Morocco we drink two kinds of teas. One is called nana, another one is called
Sweet.
you know,
Louisa.
Louisa. Okay, that's a fancy tea. I'm talking about
I use actual.
it's called Sheba. You know Sheba?
Sheba.
Sheba is like, it looks like a pasty white green. I don't know the color. Some people think it's a weed. They don't even know that it's a tea. Like you dry it, you put it fresh, whatever you want. What do they call it in English?
Just tea.
No, Sheba has a funny name in
Oh, yeah,
English.
so it's like a sage. It's,
The
the
worm,
Greeks had it
the
too.
wormwood they call it.
Yeah,
No.
that's a sage. Wormwood.
Okay.
Same family.
Okay. So Sheba, Sheba is the tea. Why did the Moroccans drink Sheba? They drink it only certain months of the year. He said when it became a problem, there's a few months a year where Nana is really infested. That's when they drink Sheba. They didn't drink Nana tea. He said, so your whole accusation against a whole group of Jews that they don't know how to clean their tea leaves and they don't care about the bugs in the tea and if you can't drink tea with them, he said this whole thing is just slander. And ignorance of halakha.
Yeah.
This color that a lady will have in her hand, it's not a chatzitza. It's not a chatzitza.
Yeah, it's absinthe.
Absinthe, they call it.
It's a type of.
Isn't that what they
mugwort.
make alcohol out of?
Yeah, wormwood it's a member of the sage family.
Sage family.
It's really good
Yeah.
as tea, not as alcohol.
No, I don't know the alcohol. I know that's
Kills
tea.
brain
I only
cells.
drink it as tea.
But there are a lot of people who did.
Now there are some here, if we go back to page 229. There's a question whether or not for a man these laws are different. Is Mahan writing a woman explicitly? It's a woman. Maybe men have a different halakha here. I'm not gonna start splitting these hairs. So long as it's something that he wants, and especially if it's something that has no substance. I don't have to make a problem out of these things. You know, in halakha there are a number of things that could be a problem with chatzizot that people don't think about. Chatzizot could be any kind of nail attachments, hair extensions for men, hearing aids. What about
Women more than two.
dentures?
Mm.
Dentures are chatzizah. Person goes to the mikveh with dentures. Why? You don't have to open your mouth in the mikveh.
Why is that?
Contact lenses could be a chatzizah. You don't have to open your eyes. You're not supposed to open your eyes in the mikveh. So why are they a chatzizah? I mean, water. Nobody opens it. I mean, maybe some people do. Actually, I told this in a class once, and someone told me that their teacher, when they got married, told them they have to open their eyes and their mouth inside of the mikveh.
Right. I've heard that before.
You've heard it before?
Yeah.
God, I hope they didn't get sick. No, the mikvahs are not dirty. I'm not building that stereotype. But it's like any other public place where people are going in and out. I don't know what's in. When you open your eyes and your mouth in the mikvah, according to halakha, you don't have to open your mouth and your eyes in the mikvah. Only the halakha says that if you were to open your eyes or your mouth, they should be able to touch all the parts of your body. So because of that, you have to take out things that, were you to open your mouth, would make a chatzitza inside your mouth. So sometimes it could be a very embarrassing thing. Let's say a person's going through giur, and they have dentures, and they can't talk properly, they can't speak. I've seen batei din that are not sensitive about this. They don't realize, or with a hearing aid, they can't hear what you're telling them. So have a conversation before, and then in the mikvah, you don't have to really say anything in the mikvah. There, we ask questions again in the mikvah. Say Shema, but you realize a person is not hearing you, but they can't able to speak. Why should you embarrass them?
Are hearing aids waterproof?
Nothing to do.
I don't
How
don't
could
know.
I don't think you can immerse with it.
No.
You can't. You take them out.
Yeah.
But when they're out, some people are harder of hearing than other people are. And I see batei din that are not particular. But I was once in a bedin. I was once in not my bedin. I was observing. And they want everything to go fast. Fast. We don't have time. We're busy people. And this is, I already heard it's standard procedure. So the lady goes to the mikveh in a robe. Yeah.
Right.
When she goes in front of, hopefully, I heard one rabbi now that he doesn't, he's makpid not to have a robe. Yeah, like that. That should be makpid to take him to prison. And this bedin, they insisted that they don't want to wait for her to have to go and get ready and go to the mikveh. They want immediately that she should go to the mikveh afterwards. So she was speaking to these rabbis the whole time in a robe, like in slippers and a robe, and she felt so embarrassed. And it was like, you just told the person 2 years things about tzniut and about this. And there's a rabbi from the synagogue. You have to dress always properly. You shouldn't leave the house even without socks on it. And then all of a sudden you put her in a bathrobe in front of 3 rabbis. It's a very
How'd that
humiliating
happen?
thing.
Yeah.
It has it's zero sensitivity also. Sometimes you have to say people don't, either they don't know or they don't care or they don't care to know. I don't know how to answer this, but a person has to be very sensitive. one of the requirements of a dayan. A person that loves people. That's the Rambam rules that in Hilchos Sanhedrin. That's the Rambam rules that. You can't. If you don't love people and care about people, so how can I rely on you to judge people? I know somebody who's in the medical field. He told me, I don't care about my patients. Sure, so someone I know well. I don't care about my patients. What do you mean you don't care? You're a healthcare provider. He says, for me, I like problem solving. That's why I joined the medical profession. I see a person with a problem, I want to solve that problem. I don't care about them. So, sometimes, let's say he says, if I was an ER doctor, so some people just have to die. They don't have time for them right now. Says, and if I cared about the people that I was working with, I wouldn't ever be able to get my job done. I said, Hashem, save us from people like you. But there are chachamim, I'm calling chachamim out of respect, that are the same way. Their love are not of people. They have some need to educate or to teach or to perpetuate knowledge. And you see, at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, it's the people they don't care about. And the rulings of halakha sound, there's a famous posek, put out a ruling, that if a man, I forget the exact scenario, I'm not telling you his name, so I'm not going to say something bad about him anyways. He said if a man has even the slightest doubt that his wife is not finished properly the whole nidah period, he shouldn't trust her and make her start over again. And even if she's screaming and she's kicking and she's yelling and she's crying, he should harden his heart and not listen to her. And this will be his portion in the world to come.
Right.
Now I heard a rabbi
Whole bowl of beans
I never knew this teaching, by the way.
out of a can.
Where did I hear it? I heard it from a rabbi who was teaching the laws of nidah, maybe 2 months ago.
What?
Yeah, someone, not in San Diego, don't worry. But someone,
Not Pastor M.
no, not Pastor Aaron, no.
Well,
But from the same genre. Someone who was like, this is how careful you have to be. If your wife is crying, you just say, I don't care about you. I care about Hashem. That's how Hashem wants you to speak to your wife. There's a real halachic problem. You go talk to Micham, we'll figure it out. But just because, where did the laws allow you to be cruel to another human being? Especially,
And also, doubt your wife in the
Eshet
first
Chekecha,
place.
this is the wife of your, this is your life, this is your partner, this is your everything.
And you doubt her? He's lying to you?
Come on, son. This is.
Doesn't matter. That
But if people are, but I'm telling you, this
It's a
person
mechanism.
spoke to a room full of people, and you know who said something bad? Nobody.
Nobody?
In fact, we were like, wow. What are you wowing about? Wow, I'm embarrassed to even have such a teaching. Wow about it too.
I'm gonna say this like that,
No, but I'll tell you the truth. The original rabbi who wrote it, lived hundreds of years ago. And the one who wrote it, I don't think he wrote it out of hatred to his wife. He wrote it out of it's an approach to Judaism that is radical. It's a radical approach to Judaism. It does not stem from hatred of anybody. It stems from the desire to be so perfect in the eyes of Hashem that you don't care about the people. There's a certain approach like this in Judaism. And unfortunately, too much of our modern Judaism has been inspired by that. I use the word inspired sarcastically, but that's been the push. And when you see a posek, you have to say, how is he on Havat Yisrael level? You see Rav Kook. Rav Kook was a strict posek.
right?
No,
You love it.
the people who love the philosophy of Rav Kook probably do that because they've never studied the halakha of Rav Kook. Halakha of Rav Kook is rigid, and it is. But sometimes you see that the ones that are more liberal in their hashkafa tend to be more conservative in their piskei halakha, and vice versa. Sometimes it's what keeps you grounded in halakha. That's why you're able to fly when it comes to hashkafa. When you fly in both, or you're too rigid in both, that's when the problem exists. But Rav Kook, though, was always propelled by his Ahavat Yisrael. That was one of his greatest qualities. And you see that when he writes. You see that even when he's prohibiting something, he prohibits something with Ahavat Yisrael. It's a very special thing to see. And it's okay. So he doesn't. Rav Kook has to have integrity. If he believes something's not allowed, he can't say it's allowed just because he loves people. But you're able to say it's not allowed in such a way that you're not destroying another person. There's a way to do that. And the person has to be given the wisdom to do so. Hashem gives a person that, and every person has the freedom to choose whether he wants to accept that from Hashem or not. I wish you have a good evening.